takes to have a successful business in real estate, and Christian and Dave Archuleta and Sean Radcliffe. Come on up. All right, so I wanted to have these guys up here because I know I get asked a ton, and I think our managers here, Jeremiah, Dan, Terry, they get asked a ton about what does it take to build a team? Why do you build a team? What are the steps? What are the practicals? Should I do it? All that good stuff. So I thought, why not just have us sit up here, talk about our strategies, talk about what we do, and you guys can learn and see if it's something that is interesting to you, if you want to do it. And it's kind of cool because I hired both these guys as brand new agents. Is that awesome?
Yeah. Right.
Brand new. Long time, no, not a long time. Longer time for you, but you were just like 4.5 years ago. 6 years ago? Wow. Time flies.
Yeah.
I hired his wife first as a brand new agent. Taught her everything she knew. I didn't really.
Tell me on Amazon.
So, okay. So first, before we get into the team part of it, I want to talk about like what you guys are doing in a down market to increase. So everybody here has been in a down market. These guys have grown in a down market and increased their productivity. So I wanted to talk a little bit about just from like a sales perspective, how in a down market have you done better and outpaced the market, and then we'll get into the team stuff. So you want to start, Christian?
Yeah.
Wait, turn your
There we go. Your presentation hit absolutely nail on the head of how we have grown through the down market. I just use a different word, discipline, that you talked about. Ours has been focus. I've got Charlie, our marketing managers here, and like that has literally been the only word we've talked about for the last 2.5, 3 years is we already know how to sell more real estate. You probably wouldn't have shown up here if you needed to be told to call more people or however you needs and do all that. But it was just focus on doing what you already know is going to grow the business and then just doing it. So your presentation, I mean, I couldn't have said it better, but I would have just said the word. For me, it's focus, which goes hand in hand with the discipline of doing the things you know you need to do.
Yeah. Dave.
I mean, that's all in line with what Michelle and Christian said. I would say consistency. I've never let up on the gas. I kept pushing forward. I really honed in on my skills. I try to go into listing presentations now and not lose. And so it's really helped because I upped my listing presentation. I really focused on it. And I would say on average right now, I do about 6 to 10 listing appointments a week. I did 44 listings last year, and I'm on track to do probably 100 this year. And, that's a down market. So I'm just trying to gain as much market share as I can, and I'm just not stopping. So I keep my same routines no matter how slow it is. If my open house, one person comes in, I don't really care because I just spent 3 hours working on my business while agents are at home watching football. So I take every hour that I can to focus on growing my business and upping my skill set. Because I think that's honestly the new lead source for me is just upping my skill set on all areas.
So when you're in open houses and if nobody's coming in, what do you do?
I'm working on my business. So I'm working on how can obviously my listings have scaled a little bit. So that changes my systems that I have in place. They can only handle so much. So I had to up those, kind of find out new ways to do things to be able to. I have 27 active listings right now, and I've got 17 escrows, and I don't have an assistant, I have myself. So I need to create the systems in place so I can follow up with all these clients on Saturday at 4:05 when they're all calling me at the same time and all the agents are texting me their feedback for the open houses. So I'm trying to create systems now where I can have the form filled out that goes straight to my client's portal. They can look at their open house feedback. So it's instant. We're in the Amazon culture period where clients expect us to answer and call in within 30 seconds. You know, you don't call in 2 minutes, you lose that deal. So I always make it a fact to try to answer my phone all the time. I always call my clients. I give them feedback after a showing. I don't wait for an hour. I don't wait for the next day because they want to sell their house, and I want to sell their house too. And I truly care to help sell their house. And obviously, it's a harder market to sell, but you still got to inform them. I mean, you still got to be in touch with them and let them know that they're not all alone. They shouldn't be calling us for how did you go? How did you go? So that's what I'm trying to do at those open houses: is create new systems, create new software. I have people helping me create software just to make me more efficient, you know, because now it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna get to 30 listings, and after that, I'm gonna get to 50, and I won't be able to handle it all. So I just gotta keeping those systems, and I'm just never gonna let up on the gas, you know.
I love it.
And so yeah, Ricky Curry, you know, I follow him on Instagram, and I was like getting overwhelmed. And no joke, he had this one Instagram reel the same day that I was like feeling overwhelmed. He's like, "This is for you. Whoever you need to hear this, you need to get to 30 active listings." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's me." And he was telling stories of how he used to have like 5 or 10, and then one time he just got to 30, and he was so overwhelmed. And he's like, after he got to there, he adjusted all his stuff. He'd go, "I can do 50 now." You know, so I was like, I just felt so encouraged, you know, like, yeah, I can do this, Ricky. You're right. So.
Love it. How about you, Sean?
So for us, our team, I kind of fell into a team, but our tagline has always been relentless. And over the last 24 months, we've actually expanded on that into relentlessly caring. And so in a down market, and with a lot of AI and a lot of, you know, us agents out there, we really focus on the why for our clients, and we really want to make sure that we're always putting them first. So I feel that kind of customer experience has expanded where we get people that refer us or people that want to work with us or trust us more because they know that we care about them, and it's not just about us or it's not about marketing. So that's kind of what we've focused on, you know, how do we expand our business in the down market. The other thing too is kind of like Christian said, is the discipline and grit. It doesn't matter what type of market it is. If it's a down market or it's a short sale market, you just have to flip the script into figuring out what is it that we need to do in order to make our goals. And those goals can't just be wishes, they have to actually be action behind it. So I think one of the things that we talked about too is the conversations and the amount of touches that we have to be a lot higher, and everything that we do we have to do more of.
Yeah, I agree with that. I see that like a lot of agents that really want to keep up in the market, that's, you know, percentage of the houses aren't turning over. They have to get a larger farm. They have to increase their area. They have to spend more on, if they're doing, you know, pay-per-click or whatever. You just have to grow it in order to keep up with the market that's shrinking. So, so let's talk a little bit about why you guys decided to start a team. I know that some people, it's like, I have so many listings, I need help. And some people, it's more strategic. Some people fall into it, like you said. And, you know, I know, Christian, you like specifically were like, this is what I'm gonna do. So how did that come about?
For me, I got into the real estate business not because I wanted to be the Dave Archuleta, the Sean, like #1 agent. I like business, and I like the real estate business for a lot of the same reasons Michelle said. But I looked at what niche or what gap is there in the marketplace, and there's like, I would never want to compete with First Team, for example, just like any of the other major brokerages. It's like, I don't want to compete with that, but where can I make a value proposition for agents that really works for us, it works for us as a company, but it also really helps out a particular person. So I spent probably the first year looking at like what would make sense. And one thing that was for me really I think important was I interviewed all the top agents in First Team Mission Viejo, and I was like, where'd all your business come from? And there was like, oh, past clients and referrals. I was like, okay, I'm brand new, I can't do that. Where'd all your business come from? Past clients and referrals. Like, okay, I can't do that. Where'd all your business come from? Past clients, referrals, and farming. I was like, oh, tell me about farming. And it was like, oh, I've lived in the neighborhood for 50 years. I've sold every house 6 times. I've been mailing every 2. I was like, oh my God. Okay, I can't do that. Where'd your business come from? Past clients and referrals. And I was like, got it. Okay, I need past clients and I need to get referrals from them. So like, I found a model that worked for me as a salesperson, and then we just really replicated that same exact model for the agents on our team. And so why did we start the team? Is one, because I didn't want to be a salesperson agent my entire career. I wanted to do that for as long as I needed to transition to building a business where I had a team of people that I could train on like what works for me. So that's why I did.
Dave, how about you?
Go ahead, Sean.
So kind of like you said, as I fell into it, I had more listings and I was only one person, and all of your clients expect that your home's going to be held open. When I graduated college, I was a business development manager and I ran a company that then got sold. And one of the things that I disliked was salespeople, because they felt like they were always better than everybody and they were overpaid, based on the operations side. But then there was a handful of salespeople that really I connected with. And so when I got into sales, I'm like, shoot, I'm a salesperson now and I have to go and do the things that I don't like. But then I started bringing team members on and asking them, like, what do you see yourself in 3 years? What do you want to do here? And some of them didn't have any idea. They just wanted to make money and provide for their family. So with that, I found that there's a certain niche that I like, and I love being on listing appointments and negotiating contracts, which are probably some of the things that people don't like. Like, put me in that. I was just telling Brittany that's here, like, I would much rather do that than make small talk. Like, I'm just not that. I like the hard conversations. So with that, I was able to expand and go on more of those hard conversations, but also provide for some of those agents that weren't qualified yet or didn't have that experience, and really provide that. So it became like, I wanted to go far, so we went together instead of, go fast, go alone. So it became personal, and that's been good and bad. I mean, I've had some wins with that and I've had some losses with that, because it becomes your family. Like my agents, we have our Christmas party at my house. They all know my daughters. They, know my garage code if they needed to get in. It's a very personal aspect. And so, that's kind of how I fell into it and how it started.
2 reasons for me. One, I felt like it was a natural progression for me in my business. Obviously, I like what Christian's doing, but I still love to sell, and I love the relationship aspect with people. I think in the future, this is where I want to end. That's my goal in my mind. But really, like, I started the team because I love to give back to the guys on my team. I love to help make them successful. I've got some single moms that their husbands just bailed on them and left them with the kids. Like, it's my passion to like make them successful, take care of their family, and show them the things that no one showed me when I needed help. Yes, I had my wife, but what my wife would tell me? Just figure it out. That's what I had to do. And that was her way of teaching me. And, so I've always said, and I think a lot of this had to do when I went back to business school. It's always talking about giving back and helping people walk those steps. And so that's kind of how I've taught the team, is like, I really want to help build their business and make them successful. And to me, it kind of gives me energy and it helps fuel my side business of me just selling, if that makes sense. Because man, I get so excited when a guy on the team or a girl on the team got my first listing appointment, or like Jamie calls me yesterday, I got a listing appointment, can you help me? And I was like, yeah, let's go. So it's just exciting for me, it fuels me, and I think it's what we should all do, because I think the more that you give back, it just comes back to you naturally 10x of that. So that's kind of my motto, is just always be generous, always give, and love on your teammates and your people. Everything else kind of falls in place from that. So, and I'm still learning. Of course I suck, I make mistakes, but man, I want to be a better leader every day for these guys. I read tons of books. I call Michelle, I call Christian, I call every guy that's ahead of me, How can I help my guys more? So.
Yeah, I think that, for me, it was similar when I decided to get out of real estate sales and more into leadership role. Like, it was you kind of have to think about, what do I want to be when I grow up? Do I want to deal with people and consumers and help them build their, American dream and have a place for their families, which is great? Or do I want to help people build careers? And I'm more of a business person, like a business type of person. I think Christian can relate to this. Like, I like the business of real estate, not necessarily the emotions of people in their houses. And so, not like realtors aren't emotional. So we have that. But, I think sometimes you can kind of, this industry is so broad, there's so many different ways we can go in this industry, and really thinking about, do I love the business of real estate, like helping grow something or build something? Or do I just love the interactions of people and beautiful houses? And, that can kind of make a decision of whether or not you should be building a team or not. Now, I know when people think about building a team and they're coming to me like, I'm thinking about building a team, and I'm like, how are you gonna feed your team, is one of the questions I ask. So you don't necessarily, what I've learned, is that you don't necessarily have to feed your team. You could be a coaching type of team. But I wanted to see what your guys' thoughts are on, feeding, coaching, a combo of both. How can you successfully keep, your team happy? So I'll start with you, Sean.
Yeah, so we don't do any kind of online leads as far as our team. We do a lot of business planning with our SOI past clients, farming. What was the other word you called farming?
Geographic domination.
Geographic domination. And we also do a lot of community events in which we get our name out there. The other thing that I've been really successful on is myself, I still do open houses, and so I try to bring a lot of the team members on to the leads that I get and collaborate, because I definitely can't handle all of the business myself sometimes. So a lot of my past clients become my team members, past clients with us, and we go out and dominate together. The other thing that we've also really focused on is collaboration together on how do we take our ideas and make them even better. So we've done some social media, and we're starting to venture down that, which has been around for a long time, but really we focused on that. We do a lot of direct mailers. We actually have a handwriting machine that sends out letters so it looks like it's handwritten, and we will send thousands of those. So we're kind of old school, open house, sphere of influence, networking events. We do 4 events a year that bring the community together, and then direct mail.
Awesome. How about you, Dave?
I'm straight open house leads. I build my business on open houses, so I train my guys on my team to do that. The way I think about it is like year 1, I closed 28 buyers from open houses. Year 2 is like 25. And then now I average about 30 to 40 buy sides, all from open houses. And every 2 years, all those buyers turn over and become sellers and buyers. So in 2 years, I just, tripled my business. In 5 years, I've quadrupled 6x the business. And it's all from open houses. So I really believe in that. Julia's always believed in that. Before I joined and became a realtor, she did that all in Aliso Viejo, and she crushed as a single agent, just open houses. So that's what we do. We've tried online leads and things like that. It's just the open houses are just so much, because we have so much market share in RV, it's way more beneficial to us. And those leads are actually, they're going to new construction to buy, and we tell them to buy ours instead. So that's kind of our model that we work on.
But you do geographic domination, so, you and Julia, own Rancho Mission Viejo. So it helps that you constantly have listings in there and constantly. Yeah. And what is how many houses do you farm?
We farm all of Rancho Mission Viejo. It's about 5,500 homes twice a month. And now we just started farming all of Ladera. So it's about
What do you spend on farming every month?
It's 20,000 mailers every month. So I don't know, do the math. It's EDDM. I do it myself, honestly. I've tried having someone else do it for me, and honestly, it takes them 12 days to get it to a mailbox. And I'm like, I just got it done in a day and a half. And all I gotta do is put some AirPods on, listen to a podcast, and
He's a little insane though, you don't have to do it like
Yeah. But to me, it's time saving because what happened is I have someone do it for me. By the time it got in the mailboxes, I already sold half those homes, and it's not relevant anymore. So I just need to be fast. And honestly, like I like to time my stuff. Those guys just do it when they can do it. It gets there. I'm strategic about when it gets into a mailbox because I know that if I do an open house on Thursday, they see my open house sign. When they get the mailer on a Wednesday or a Friday, they see 2 days me in a row, and then they see me on Saturday and on Sunday, and then they say, I see you everywhere. Because it's true. They saw me on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they see my ads on YouTube and Google and Facebook and Instagram.
So you're supplementing with YouTube, because I see you in my Facebook marketplace when I'm looking at tractors for sale. You always help up.
Yeah. I put John Deere in there. But I'm strategic about mailers. I try to have a plan to it. It's not just, send them out. I think you should be strategic. You're spending a lot of money, so you kind of want to get a return on it. So every mailer I send, I give at least one listing appointment, if not two. But it's a brand awareness play for me. I want them to see that. I want to see open houses. I want them to see me working, setting up signs, taking signs up, walking around the streets. Like every time they see me walking into someone's house, they're like, Archuleta was that? Hey, the street. You guys are selling, you didn't tell me. Yeah. So I always kind of have to walk in and sneak into houses, because like a lot of people before they sell, they want to tell their friends and stuff. And if I show up, I'm like, I'll run in as fast as I can. But I tell you, if someone's driving by it, they're going to start calling the neighborhood. And
Yeah. So he didn't always start like that. He started in Rancho Mission Viejo. I think he started with like 500.
Yeah, we started with 1,000, and then we grew our way up. As R&V kept expanding, we just expanded with it.
Because you're reinvesting in your business, and I think that's really important for agents to understand, because we're in the highest profit margin business that exists, that we get like 80-90% of our commissions. That doesn't exist in any other business. Average profit margin in a business in the US is like 6% or 7%. So to reinvest back in that's how he's ran roughshod over Rancho Mission Viejo. Is that he started with 1,000 homes, and then he sells, and then he reinvests, and then he builds and builds and builds, and now you're up to 20,000.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you don't invest that money back into your business, you're just gonna pay 40% of the taxes. So why not use that as free money and invest in your business? That's what the government wants us to do: reinvest, and they give you a reward by saying you can write it off. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Like, it works. It just takes time. So if you're thinking about mailers, like, just give it 9 months. And I promise you, after that, it's always going to work every time you sell it, every time you send it. 'Cause it does for me.
Okay, Christian, so we're lead generation.
Yeah, so the question is, how do you feed your team? I'm curious for the audience, can I get a show of hands of who runs a team or wants to run a team? Just curious. Cool. I don't think most people should run a team, and the thing that I hear most often is like, oh, I want to be a team leader so I can work less and make more money. And for the few of us that raise their hands, that is absolutely not how it works. Anytime I have somebody come up to me like, hey Christian, I'm thinking about starting a team, do you think I should? I literally cross out, I want to start a team, and you have to say, I want to start a business, because that's absolutely how you have to think of it. Why should an agent work with you? Just like you would say, why would a buyer or seller work with you? You have to ask all those same questions about you for a team perspective. So for us, how do we keep a team fed is we are a big online lead generation team. And I gave my example of when I interviewed all the top agents in the office. I was like, well, shoot, I need past plans for referrals. And for me, I built my business when I was selling from open houses. And then when I got so busy from the leads that I got from the open houses, where I was doing showings all Saturday and Sunday, we've probably been there. I was like, shoot, I can't do open houses anymore. Now what am I doing? That's my lead gen's gone. So at that time, we had $1,200 a month in Zillow spend, and I was like, okay, well, if I spend $1,200, I'll sell a house. And I was like, can we do more of that? And I remember asking like 5 different people in their office, like, oh, you're crazy, it doesn't work, whatever. I was like, I don't know, it's working for us, like, let's try it. And then we did 2,500 a month and sold 2 houses, and I was like, okay, and then we just kept ramping that up until I was spending a ton of money a month. And then that was how it kind of started for us. And what I thought we had built at the time for us and our team was a sales process, if you will, that converted online leads, and we did. But what we really did was we made up a sales process that converted leads. And what we had been doing is I was just doing online leads. But we found that when we started bringing team members on that had friends and family and sphere of influence and open houses, it was like, hey, once you set an appointment, just do this. And they were like, oh shoot, this is working way better than what I was doing before. And so for us, that's a big part of how we keep our team fed. I mean, we spend a lot of money, we have a big team, but it started small and it ramped up from there. And I also think there's different models of teams. Like these guys run a very different team model than I do. And I really look at like most like rainmaker real estate agents that do a ton of deals. That's the most profitable model you can have for sure. It's like you sell and you have agents under you that learn from you and grow from you, and they take the opportunities from your open houses and from everything else. But then you get past there, it's like I was selling and trying to run the company, and there's not enough hours in the day. This is the whole, you try to run a team and sell 100 million yourself, and like I had to choose. And at the end of 2021, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to take a hit on all of my personal production. I'm going to hand it all off to the team, and I'm going to go all in and make this happen or not. But for us, to answer the question, for us, it's online lead gen. But the big thing is, it's the sales process that we built from it. It's training our agents on how to implement that to all of the lead sources.
Yeah. So another, like reinvesting, you invest a ton of money back into the team.
Yeah. When I was selling even, right, because most of us in here aren't team leaders, when I was selling, I just had this memory of talking to 7 or 8 different agents that all made multiple 6 figures and, you know, didn't work a ton. They were all later in their career. And I'm like, man, you're selling 50 houses a year? And like, what happens? They're like, yeah, my phone rings, I pick it up, and they say, will you sell my house? I'm like, that sounds great. How do you get that? They're like, well, I've been doing it for a long time and all these things. So I was like, you know what? I have no problem. Once I hit enough money to live, everything else, I was like, if I put $1 into here, I'm gonna get $4 back. I'm just gonna do that with all of it. And my philosophy was I'm gonna have 100, 200 past clients, and I'm gonna get to that repeat referral business in 5 years instead of most agents taking 10 or 20 years. That was my philosophy. And that's the same thing we implement with our agents as well too.
Awesome. So how do you guys use, or do you use social media or AI in your business now? I'll let whoever wants to talk first.
I'm wearing 3 mics. I took a selfie today in front of my team meeting because Carly made me. I hate social media. I absolutely would not be doing it if it wasn't for the business, right? So does anybody follow my stuff, or like on my email list? You see my ads? Okay, we're not doing enough. But it for us, I started making content really half-heartedly probably 3 years ago, and it was, I'll say, consumer-facing content. And about a year and a half ago, maybe, all of a sudden, when I was talking to customers, or either talking to customers or talking to agents, because I make content for both, I started getting like, are you that guy that's been emailing me for 3 years? And I was like, huh. Yeah, I've never talked to these people before. Like, oh, we're not moving anytime soon, but keep sending it, appreciate it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I was testing scripts and stuff in our database, and I was amazed at the amount of people who like knew who I was. I was like, dang, this works. And for the office managers in here for sure that are not making videos, I'm glad you are, Michelle. I asked the last 30 agents that have interviewed with their team that have come into our office, 29 out of the last 30 said they watched content prior to reaching out to us, like several hours of it. And I'm like, dang. And the conversation changes with content. Conversation changes to, why should I work with you? To, hey, will you help me out? And that has had a massive impact on the business. So for as much as I hate it, I'm wearing 3 mics and have 3 cameras here for the same reasons. It makes it.
AI that we're starting to do is that we have obviously different personalities of customers. So a lot of times we'll get an email and the way that I might respond might be different. So we'll take that email, pop it into AI and give them kind of the, you know, this is the specifics of who they are, how would you respond? And we're getting a lot better feedback on text messages, emails, things like that. The other thing that we're doing is we're also taking in, let's say like the OC housing report, we can dump that in and say, hey, summarize this and give me a video that we want to shoot. And we want to speak to this type of person. So maybe the video is specific towards the higher end or the lower end. And that's also another thing too, is that I know that some agents only want to do luxury, but you know, we'll sell a home in Apple Valley and we'll sell a home in Yorba Linda. And we don't discriminate against all of that because we want the consumer to think, you know, hey, like your home isn't too good for us or isn't too small for us. And so we've had a lot of people that will be like, hey, will you sell my home in Riverside? Well, a home in Riverside costs $1 million now. So we have built that business from Pastimes and Spirit and done that through social media and continue to stay positive about, you know, all different price points.
So I know we can use social media, because like I said, I see you all the time, but tell me about specifically, because I see you on Instagram, Facebook, how are you running your YouTube ads?
Well, first off, Dave Archuleta's at home. I'm his avatar. That's good. Okay, so YouTube has been a game changer for me this year. I just went all in starting January. I've probably gotten 15 listings, not appointments, just will you sell my house? And it was from YouTube. You know, it's a mixture of everything. You can't just do one, you got to do everything, and it has to be balanced. But YouTube has been the most game changer for me because I've never got a come list me call in the 4 years that I've been selling. So that's. And my whole play with social media, YouTube, Instagram is brand awareness play. I don't do it to get leads. I just want them to see my face because I know that if they look at it for 3 seconds, they're going to see my face. And I'll tell you that anytime I go out to dinner, I go to the movies, or I hang out with the kids somewhere, there's always someone that says, hey, Mr. Archuleta. And I know exactly they saw me on YouTube because they don't know my first name. You know, they see the Archuleta, right? So, I mean, it's cool. I get all these little kids that come to open houses and they want my autograph. They're like, you're on my iPad all the time when I play my game. You know, it's like, we were at the movies the other day and I had all the kids and it was just me and Julia was at home. And these teenage kids walked over to me, Mr. Archuleta, I see your ads all the time. I just wanted to say hi. And I was like, they were so respectful. They were like 16 little punk kids. But I was like, how cool is that within like a 6-month period, I've had that effect on people, and all I'm doing is the most boring market update videos because I suck at it. I'm trying to get good, but man, I even have a teleprompter and I still take a million takes. I'm so sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. We gotta do it again. You know, so it's not easy, and I'm like Christian. I hate doing social media stuff, but it does work. It doesn't get you leads per se. Like Instagram, I don't think is something that people are going to DM me and say, sell my house. And I don't think, even if you look at the most influential influencers, it doesn't happen to them that often, you know? So you kind of have to do everything, you know? So it kind of goes in play with YouTube, Instagram, Google display ads. I'm sending mailers, I'm running open houses. I'm actually out there, and that's why it all works together. It's not going to work if I just did one of those pillars, if that makes sense.
So go down the line, start with you, Christian. Which platforms do you pay for ads on? Like Google, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube?
Yeah, we pay for ads on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, that's the big ones. That's where we do it right now. And I'll say one thing from a like tactical perspective, because who makes content now or like wants to? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Dave just mentioned the market update. That is something we've done for the last 3 years. Every single month is a monthly market update. And here's one piece of content you can make once a month that you can make into all kinds of different stuff. Is you can take the report on housing, you take your information from the MLS, whatever you want to do. And this is how I do it, is I'll write an email that I'm going to send to my whole database. That is the monthly market update. There's a ton of people that are on our email newsletter that open every single week because they know that we're going to tell them what's going on in the market. If you guys go to a party and you're the real estate agent, they find out, what do they ask you?
That's not good.
Yeah, right? So just tell them. They'll make them ask. So we do that every single week religiously. Well, we do it every month, but we do others as well too. But if you're going to do just one a month, that's it as the monthly market update. We send that as an email to your entire database. You do what Dave did, and you just record yourself doing it. You do not need videographers. You do not need any of this. You can pick up your phone, hold it sideways, and talk to your phone like you're talking to a customer. You don't know how to do that. Film that video. That could be a Facebook, Instagram, YouTube post. You start there. Like if you went to my first video I posted 3.5, whatever years ago, I look at it, I'm like, oh, I posted that. And then you can post the written word everywhere. You can post the video everywhere. And then if you want to hire somebody from Fiverr for what, $5 a video, they can chop it into your Instagram Reels and Shorts and TikToks, right? So you can take that one piece of content a month and turn it into a ton. And then if you want to spend dollars on ads, I would say Google and Meta are the big ones as far as where most people's eyeballs are at. But that's a very tactical way that we did. That's how I did content for the first year.
If you're on YouTube, do you spend money on Instagram?
I spend a little on Instagram, not much. I got a good following on Instagram. It's just organically how it happens, but I spend money on YouTube, Google, Instagram randomly. If I have a special event, I'll spend some money. And I don't do, Facebook and Instagram are tagged together. So basically if I run any money on there, I'm doing Reels because that's where most people are looking. So I'll do Instagram and Facebook Reels. So, and oh, can I add on?
Yeah.
What Christian was talking about, the market update. If you guys don't know what to do for a market update, go to your MLS, do the last 30 days, pull up all the active pending close, print it out, send it into ChatGPT and say, I'm a local realtor and blah, blah, blah. I need you to act as my local economist and help me write a market update report. Give me 5 takeaways that I can give sellers, 5 takeaways that I can give to buyers, and see what it prints out. You'll be amazed how easy it'll give you some pretty good data. And also look at it. It's so easy to find some good things when you look at a market report that's printed out right in front of you. You can be like, oh wow, days on market went down from last month. Things are picking up faster. More homes are in contract this month. Those are the kind of things that sellers and buyers want to know. It's really easy to do, right?
Yeah. And
So-
another practical tip, what I do if I'm doing something off of a teleprompter is I have an app on my phone called Blink. And I just put my phone in the thing facing me, the camera facing me, and I'm reading it as it's filming. No special equipment, nothing but my phone.
Yeah.
So those are just.
There's so many apps that have all those teleprompters. Like, there's no excuse for us not to do it. People are asking for it, so we should do it.
Is to get started is the hardest part for any of this. If you're not making that content, I stop using a teleprompter type thing. It's like, hey, let me just check my notes to make sure I'm correct, and then nobody cares. You guys watch a video like, hey, there's 300 and like, it does not matter. You don't have to be perfect. That is one of my biggest things. I was a total perfectionist with the content. Who cares if you're reading a notepad and giving them the valuable information? They're not going to think less of you, I promise.
I agree.
Yeah, so we do Facebook and Instagram as far as paid ads. We don't do a ton of it, but to touch on Christian's point, that's what I was kind of thinking is that we do have a virtual assistant that does a lot of our edits of videos, and then we check, where we're seeing the eyeballs on, and those are the least amount that we get. Our title rep, she did it was her birthday, and we did a take, and we said, like happy birthday, and we did some funny pictures. And we had 2,000 people to watch that reel within 24 hours. So the stuff that we put out that's original, that's just raw and real, and then if you're scared, just do it in the story. It goes away in 24 hours, and it's totally fine. But a lot of that, like one of our agents on our team, he's challenged himself to do a day in the life of a realtor for 365 days, and he's going to Greece on Saturday. And so I'm like, bro, what are you gonna do? He's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it in Greece. So. But that's the thing is that it's just better to get it done than to make it perfect. So I would encourage you guys, if you're going to do something on social media, just do it. Like Christian said, the hardest part is just getting started. And don't worry if you mess up, because the good thing about getting started is, other than your mom, probably nobody else is watching it. So it's okay. So it'll just be done and gone, and then you'll get better.
And you get better and better and better every time you do it. If you don't start, then you never get there.
Yeah. Hey, I was gonna say, 1000 Watt did a study on what does seller expect for agents, for listing agents. And 27% of them said they expect to see their house on social media and marketed on social media. So, you know, I feel like you kind of have to do that if you want to be a listing agent. Because the seller wants it.
Yeah. Okay, so now when you talk about team members, there's two things I want to know. What do you look for when you're bringing on a team member? And then how do you deal, because I know this is really hard for me, with the emotions of when somebody leaves you. So who wants to start?
I'll start. For the first couple of years, I tried really hard to pick the correct agents to hire and to not hire. And what I realized was when I hired somebody that I was like, this person's gonna crush, and then they never did anything, I was like, well, that's a bummer. And then hire somebody who I'm like, I don't know, should we give them a chance? And then they just crush. That's just the reality of it. So when we are hiring, and we really look through our core values, it's like if I would have thought I was saying this 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be like, core values are nonsense. Well, we hire and fire by our core values. And that is the major thing. The second part that goes along with that is we do, for our team at least, we have very clear standards as far as what it looks like to be on the team. And we make that abundantly clear in the interview process. So if somebody's like, yeah, I'd love to sell one house a year, it would be great. I'd love that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like you will hate being on our team if that's you. So we want to attract a certain type of person, and by doing that, we're really kind of saying no to everybody else, right? There's the hobbyists, there's the part-timers, there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just not right for our team. So we filter by saying, hey, this is exactly what it's like to be on our team. These are the expectations, this is everything. And for the people that are still interested after that, they've kind of filtered themselves out. And that's how we've done it. But core values would be the other thing is like team player for us, like, I don't know if we're allowed to swear here, but like if you're an asshole and you're on a team, like this, you're not gonna last very long. That gets out pretty quick, so that's obvious.
And then the second part, what about when somebody leaves?
Yeah, that's, I think you get over it at some point. For me, I stopped taking it personally as to like, why are they doing this to me? It's like they're making a decision to leave. It's probably not because they're gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna leave Christian and my business is gonna go down by 80%. They're not thinking that. So I looked at it as like, it's a learning opportunity for us. The tactical thing that I actually did was started exit interviewing. Be like, hey, sorry you're leaving. Can I use this as an opportunity for us to get better, right? Like if you get fired by a buyer or seller, it's probably not a bad question to ask either. And just like, hey, what could we have done better that would make your life easier? And then just take the feedback. Some of it's good, some of it's not, but I look at that as we are doing something wrong. If that's the right type of agent for our team and they leave, we're doing something wrong and we could probably improve here or there or wherever. So that's how I transition to be like, don't make it, it's not about you. You're a business owner. If you're running a team, make it about how can we make the team better from it.
You wanna go?
Yeah, so as far as the same thing, like we have the 4 standards. We have an all about us packet. It's about 14 pages. It says exactly what you can expect of me, exactly what's expected from you as a team member. We're very slow to hire, so we ideally do an initial interview over Zoom, which is helpful because the last guy that showed up had a tank top on, so he was a no real quick. And you know, he had experience, but he just didn't present well. I think that you come to an interview, you have to present well. The second part is that we then bring the team member into the team, and I let the team members interview the possible team member because that person's going to be taking part of my time away from that existing team member. So it has to be a good fit, and we want a collaborative style. So we're a very small team, and we plan on keeping a culture that is important to us. So because we have our own standalone office, and we have everybody that shares the kitchen and just the conference room, and we have a ping pong table, and we're fun and lighthearted. We want to make sure that that's the right culture. The other thing is that we are very clear about that we don't hire part-time people, and our goal is that your goal is no less than 7 million in volume. Now I know that some of our team members haven't come with that, but we instill that and we try to get them up to that. I've probably been slower to fire than I probably should have. So going back to is that we've probably asked more people to leave than they have left, and that's been the last time that I had this great young kid, 19 years old, and he kind of resembled what we look for. So there's two avatars. I look for somebody that's extremely hungry, that wants to improve, and has the skill set. So maybe like they played soccer in high school or college, or they had some kind of like team sport. So that's something that we look for. Or my other avatar would be, older, has a good sphere of influence. Maybe he's dabbled in the business, but doesn't really know where to go next, and would really thrive under kind of coaching and a system in place. So the kid I was going to tell you about, he was like 19, struggled for a year, and I finally sat him down. I'm like, hey, I have to tell you that I'm feeling you, and this is not for you. And he sat down and broke down. He's like, I didn't want to give up on you, but thank you for letting me go, because I wanted to leave. And so that was like really touching to me, where I was like, wow, like I should have had this conversation 6 months ago, because he was pained, I was pained, he was unhappy. And so, that's kind of how we hire and fire, is by our core values, by our relentlessly caring, value system. But I probably should look at that sometime sooner.
Dave, how do you interview agents?
Yeah.
What are you looking for, and then how do you feel about them leaving you?
So we hire on our 4 values. My coach, he said, I told him I think about starting a team. He's like, all right, what are you going to stand for? What do you believe in? How are you going to hire and fire on it? And I told him, he's like, well, where's it on paper? So I was like, it's not on paper. So I put it on paper. I made it easy to memorize. So I know that when I talk to an agent, if they're not welcoming, curious, thoughtful, if they're not people is more important than paperwork, if they're not a master of forgetfulness, I'll tell you that later. And then if they aren't generous, 360 degrees of generosity is how I want all the guys on my team. So an example was Jeremy right here sitting, he's on our team. And Jeremy, before we showed up for the meeting, I walk up, Dave, so great to meet you. I'm like, hey, Jeremy, nice to meet you too. Hey, Dave, I brought you your favorite. And I was like, what do you mean? Shakey's Pizza. And I was like, how did you know I love Shakey's Pizza? He's like, I saw it on the podcast. And I'm like, and then I was like, wait a minute, you went all the way down to Anaheim to pick up a pizza and bring it here to our meeting in Rancho Mission Viejo. He drove an hour and an hour back just for me to get this pizza. And he's interviewing me to be on my team. And right away I said, he just passed 2 of our core values and he doesn't even know it. And I already had my mind up that I knew that this guy had something special, because no one has ever gone out of their way like that for me. And let alone, if he can do that for me, imagine what he's going to do for clients. So those are the kind of things I look out for. And when I interview people, I try to get stories out of them that could relate to one of those core values. And then I know they've got it. And so when someone on the, like me and my wife will talk about it on the team, and we'll say, I don't know if this person has this or doesn't do this. And I'm like, but look, they have these 4 things that we value more than anything. And we can teach those things that they don't possess yet. And we have the abilities because we figured it out. So let's help them figure it out and believe in them and root for them. And so that's kind of how we hire guys on the team, and that's how we also hire all of our resources. Anybody that we refer clients to, if they don't possess those 4 things, I just don't deal with them. And if I hear that they don't, like from one of my clients, I give them one warning, and then I tell them, I say, hey, these are the 4 standards that we hit, and if you're not going to match them for my client, I can't give you my business, because I treat my clients like this, and so does everyone on my team. And if you're going to treat my client like that, then we'll part our ways. They usually adjust, When someone leaves, it kills me. It hurts my heart, because I treat my guys on my team like my family members. I've helped a guy on a team once. He wanted to buy a house. I helped him buy a house. He needed to borrow money. I helped him get a house, because I knew that ownership for him and his wife was the next best thing for him. And I know he wasn't ready for it, but he was crushing it. And so I fronted him and helped him get a start. And he paid me back by selling homes. And me and Julia, we care more about our guys than anything. So when someone leaves, it's really hard. But just like Christians say, you can't take it personal, because you build them up to be successful. Of course, they're going to be recruited by every brokerage in America, and offering them everything. I can't compete with that. All I can compete with is, here's what I can teach you, and here's what I can hand you, and I'm always going to be loyal to you and teach you all the things that I wish people would teach me. And so yeah, it sucks when they leave, but all we can do is keep being better leaders, putting our value and how we can train, and also be a master of forgetfulness. And that's one of our third core values. You know, and I think it's just a funny way of saying, hey, when you don't get that offer accepted or you don't get that listing appointment, figure out what you could have done a little bit differently. Be pissed for 3 minutes and then let the past remain the past and be a master of forgetfulness. So that's what I do when a guy on the team gets recruited by Coldwell Banker and gets promised the moon. I'm pissed for 3 minutes. What could I have done differently? And wish him well, right?
I love that. Awesome. So, right, we're gonna break up in a minute, and I want to get the guys to like 3 corners of the room, and then you guys can just do one-on-one questions as a group, as opposed to asking Q&A up here, because I think it would be more personal. So we're gonna do that. But before we do that, I want to end with a question. If you were gonna start all over again today from scratch, and that wasn't too long ago for you, but what would you do differently? I'll start with you, Sean.
I would join a team. Yeah, maybe I would structure the team a little bit differently, but I would have started sooner. I would have, gone all in. I mean, the one thing that is different about, different because I'm a selling agent and I'm out there with the team, is that the phone rings at all times, and my team knows that I'm up at 4 a.m., but I'm like probably going to bed around 9 o'clock, so if they hit me up after that and I don't answer, they don't take it personal. But I'm passionate about the team and the team members. So what would I have done differently is maybe, have a stronger operation sense in the beginning to maybe put a little bit more structure in place. Because right now I am that structure. We do have an operations manager that's amazing, but I love the kill of the sale. So that's something that I just can't get away from. And but that's also the thing that is also tough. I have an amazing wife that allows me to, be in Cabo and answer the phone or be wherever. And she's like, hey, I know what you're doing. You're providing for our family. I would say the other thing too is not be afraid to recruit. That's something that's, that I'm working on as a team lead, is getting out there and meeting more agents and being okay to just like a listing appointment, being okay to fail and to, approach an agent and say, hey, what would you think about joining a team, or I'd like to collaborate with you, or maybe it's not for you right now, but at least dropping that out there, because that's something that I could do better at. The other thing that I would say that I would have done differently is probably not gone back to the basics. Like we did a lot of different things, like in the like SmartZit. I don't know if you guys remember that program that was out there, but there was just a lot of different shiny things that we focused on, and just going back to the basics of the door knocking, the open houses, the direct mail, the sphere of influence, the networking events. I would have done all of that a lot sooner instead of going down all these different avenues and then figuring out what didn't work. So I would just have taken a top team, looked at them, and just recreated it.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you do different if you could do it all over again?
Well, I don't know. I guess what I would answer this question with was today, what would I do today if I want my business to gain some momentum and grow? I think we've come across probably one of the hardest years in a long time for a lot of agents. I think a lot of agents are struggling, and it's difficult, it's hard, right? But this is not the time to stop and be mopey about it. This is the time to up our game and our skill set and get ready for AI. I think AI is the future. And if you're not learning about it, studying about it, and figuring out how to implement it into your business, you're going to be hosed in 3 years, 5 years, because it's going so fast. It's awesome because it's going to save us a lot of time and our systems. We can dial things up. But I would make sure that. We were talking about this the other day about have you started setting up, getting ready for AI. Like, what does this ChatGPT say when who's the top realtor in Rancho Viejo? I got lucky because I did this a year ago and I forgot that I did, but it says it's me. But you guys should be getting your stuff ready and set up, because I was behind in it, and you know, how many people actually use Google and actually type in Google now? I don't. I use ChatGPT and I Google things in ChatGPT, you know, and that's the future. I know Google is starting to up their game and trying to step up in the AI side of things, but right now it doesn't matter because consumers all use ChatGPT and they ask questions in there. Who's the top agents in Yorba Linda? Who's the top agents in Michigan? Wherever they're buying, wherever they're selling, who's that person? And how can you be that person that shows up? So that's really what I've been trying to focus on, making sure I show up in all those platforms and anything I can do to enhance that, because I think that's the next year, it's gonna change a lot of people's business. So keep doing what you're doing, keep the momentum going, because I think if you stay consistent and stick to a plan and fight through this hard, difficult time, this next year is gonna change your life and change your business. I think it's the time for the good agents to really gain more market share, and the guys that aren't consistent in doing the work are gonna diminish. So that's my encouragement to you guys is, if I could do anything differently today for the next 12 months, is go all in, be consistent every single day, and you're gonna crush, because I feel like the wave has been building for a couple of weeks and it's about to like get really big and it's gonna crash, and buyers are gonna go crazy and start buying. And are you gonna be the one that's prepared, or do you have the systems in place to be able to handle this load of buyers that are coming and all these sellers that wanna sell? So I'm gonna be ready. I know he's ready. So get pumped.
I'll piggyback on that as well too, because I'll say the same thing I said to our team meeting. We did our quarterly business planning today, and I said, you guys have business planning and going into the fourth quarter of the year is for us the most important one of the entire year, because right now you get 15 months instead of 12 for 2026. You guys know that every new customer you talk to today is not a deal this year, very unlikely. It's going to be for next year. So take most agents, I jokingly say this with love to agents, but usually the second a pumpkin hits a doorstep, agents put their head in the sand. They're like, this wasn't my year. It was just a bad year. We'll make it happen next year. And that's a cycle that if you do that now, you're obviously going to have a bad Q4, and that's going to roll right into a bad first quarter of the year. And then before you know it, you turn it around, you're halfway through the year saying like, oh man, maybe next year's going to be my year. So that was one thing that I wanted to piggyback on what Dave just said. But to answer the question of what would I do if I was to restart my team, I agree with Sean. If I was a brand new agent joining my team, my life would have been a heck of a lot easier. But if I was restarting my team, I wouldn't do anything different. I'm happy with where we're at and all of that. But if I would have known what I know now, I would go with Jimmy Reed in here. Jimmy Reed shared with me the production partner model, and I don't know if I ever would have built my team the way that I did if I would have known about it at that time. So I'll share what that basically is. A lot of people view a team as you're a rainmaker agent like these guys up here, and you sell a lot of houses, and you hire agents on your team, and everybody says that it's 50-50. And if you run a team, you know that it's not 50-50, right? There's expenses, there's costs, there's employees, there's a lot that goes into running a business. So the idea behind the production partner model is you partner with an agent who would be like a licensed assistant, and they're married to you. Their deals are your deals, and your deals are your deals. And that allows you to be in two places at once. I know for me, I could have been still doing my open houses because I could have had a production partner going on all the showings. And it allows you to really groom and train that salesperson to be right by your side. And it allows you to keep a lot more of the money under your deals. It also allows you to keep your past clients as your past clients, not theirs. There's a lot of different team models there, but if I was to restart, I would have gone down that route knowing what I know now, and then maybe grow into the large team model from there. But I could have leveraged myself way more than I did.
Awesome. All right, I wanted to give these guys a big round of applause.